For the Rich Podcast. Today on our podcast, Seb Brantigan, also known as the Britpreneur, a digital marketer, expert, co-founder of DBSS Digital Ltd, where he specializes in marketing, automation, and lead generation. Significant strides in the industry helping entrepreneurs and businesses to harness the power of digital tools and amplify their reach and effectiveness. So we're going to talk about the evolution of marketing, the impact of potentially AI in sales today, and uncover some practical advice for creatives to navigate the complexities and possibly promote their work in today's digital landscape. So, Seb, welcome to the show.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me. Really great to be here.
First off, let's just go straight to the punch of everything, since we're a little short on time today on this episode. What role do you see AI playing in marketing today?
Yeah, great question. So in terms of using AI for marketing, so in terms of our agency, where we're using AI is we're using it a lot with interacting with customers. That's a really big one. So when people are reaching out to inquire about your products and services, it makes sense to have some kind of intuitive system that can respond back to clients. If you've got someone trying to reach you at 2 a.m. your time, maybe they're international or they just happen to be contacting you at 2 a.m. You want to be able to have something that's automated and something that's intuitive. What I don't like and don't stand for is automation that looks like automation. Where you've got the power of AI, that's where automation can be extremely clever. One of the other ways it can help on the marketing front is if you're making calls to prospective leads or customers, you can use AI to not just automatically call these people, but actually respond and have the back and forth. Again, that intuitiveness where you can actually have a conversation with an AI, like with a robot, but it actually seems like you're having a real conversation with someone. So there's so many different use cases for it. Those are just a couple of really powerful.
It also makes me think we'll get so good to where we'll take the average response time and know that we make a sale if we just wait this long to respond, like the data on human behavior that we're going to collect for that is crazy.
It's massive. Yeah, exactly. And just being able to instantly respond to them because, people want stuff now. So if you can't find a way to get them what they need right now, again, even if it's the middle of the night and you're not available, you need to have something like that automated and something that can really respond to people in a way that doesn't look automated. And I think that's really what people are looking for.
And do you think that that's the same for everything going forward, like technology that they're building going forward? We should have that built as a baseline. Like if you're developing a new app today, you should probably integrate that first and foremost, I'm guessing.
100%. That would be a very important thing. Of course, it's different in a lot of industries. Some industries where it's more B2C is going to be a little bit different from the industry where it's B2C. So in some industries it might be a little bit different and it might be a little bit more work, especially in our industry, the marketing industry. People know that you're marketing to them, so you have to be very clever with it.
And the less work that you want to do, the more money you're going to spend, so you don't have to hire more people, right?
100%. And that's another thing where marketing is really, or AI marketing has really become prevalent. It is actually changing a lot of jobs, in some cases removing those jobs. But I think where I see AI kind of creating jobs is you'll still need someone to input the information into the AI, at least at this stage. So, yes, it's automated. Yes, it's intuitive to some extent, but it still needs to be programmed. It's like, it's like if you build a desk or something, you still need a set of instructions to build a desk. So, you need someone to input those instructions so you can get the best result quickest.
What's a common misconception about digital marketing that you'd like to correct?
So I think a common misconception is, that everyone wants your product or service. People always say to me, well, my product and service, everyone wants it or everyone can use it. That might be true. Like you might use skincare or you might manufacture food and drink. Just because everyone can use your product or service doesn't mean they should. And so that impacts on marketing a lot, because then people think they have to do a scattergun approach in order to reach everyone. And that's what they try and do. So they dilute their marketing so much that's they're trying to target everyone and they're really targeting no one. So
And
that's the biggest one.
and you know what's interesting about that is creatives are struggling with that even more so because it's super subjective. Like we're talking about a product that people can use and it's physical. I'm telling you about a song that someone's going to hear once, and I'm just trying to correlate the differences in marketing products there, how much harder it is for a creative person.
Yeah, it really is. And gone are the days of people, a lot of people have been misled or even scanned in some cases. So you got to always have that into account. People are more skeptical today than they ever have been, and understandably so. I am when I am purchasing products or services, especially if it's a big purchase. Like today, for example, I went out to purchase a car and I was asking a lot of questions. I was reading all the fine print, and I wasn't just trying to rush my decision. It took several weeks to actually go ahead and pull the trigger on it. And I think a lot of people are working the same way, and people are used to the hard sell. Like the hard sell just doesn't work anymore. At least it's never worked for me anyway. But it just doesn't work that way. Now it's more of a case of you have to be marketing consistently, and that's where AI and automation can obviously do the heavy lifting. But that the contact little and often to get people over the line, like that's where the real value is.
Yeah, you had me thinking about how that also correlates to, I guess, the way the economy is doing, right? Because people are more, I don't want to say curious, but more risk averse and more aware of scams and things, the less that they do have money, which correlates with how I'm sure you know the statistic with people who have money are less likely to really care about, where it's going in terms of how the job gets done and micromanaging, those kinds of things. There's a lot more trust involved.
Yeah, there really is. There's so many kind of external factors like that, which a lot of these are, out of our control. There's definitely, definitely a lot of people, struggling out there, especially in business as well. Like a lot of people are more, as you say, they're more careful to make those bigger decisions. It takes them longer because it's just more of a risk because it's just more more capital.
Very, very permanent too.
Yeah, definitely. So it's something that we've definitely noticed when speaking with potential business owners, and again we don't hard sell and we don't push. If someone says genuinely, I'm not sure if I can afford it right now, like we don't like push on that. Like we'd rather someone really focus on what they want to do, and I think again that's what people are really looking for. People don't want to be hard sold to the point where often I've spoken with potential clients and they're just like actually surprised that that's the approach, and that's actually in a way drawn them towards me a little bit more.
Wow. Yeah, so it's the authenticity and the honesty now that's even more important. So that's all industries, right? We see that with content, but apparently that translates into business as well in relationships.
100%, and that's really key, and especially in our business, and it's the same with other business. You want to work with the right people. We want to work with the right people in terms of our internal team, but we want to work with the right clients, the ones that we know we can get the results for faster. So, for example, we work specifically with service-based business owners, those who also run events, webinars, workshops, and those who want to reach one-to-many, because we know we can get them results a lot quicker than someone who has, say, an e-commerce store. And obviously we can help e-commerce brands, but
for sure,
but
that's smart though, because you're focused on what you can actually return immediately and prove for results. I think that's important to note because a lot of people don't know how to build their portfolios. Do you have any advice for like maybe free work? That I find that I've always done a lot of free work just to get my foot into things and get started. I'm not saying don't sell yourself like for short, but any thoughts on that?
Yeah, definitely. When I started, I definitely did, a lot of like low paying positions or consultancy. And yeah, it's you do have to start somewhere for sure. One thing that I always encourage people to negotiate is if it is, say, a quote unquote free deal. Can you negotiate something where, let's say you're in marketing, can you negotiate some kind of commission on the revenue you bring in? So if you are billing a low upfront hourly rate, for example, but you are also on the back end of that, you're able to negotiate some commission. I think a lot of businesses will take that into consideration.
Is it
put that
Is it
forward.
because you have an incentive to keep up with the actual ad in a sense because you're making money on it?
Yeah, 100%. And for us, like with the advertising side of our agency, we're definitely a believer in quality over quantity, and we're very transparent with people we work with when we say, look, with our agency, you may be paying a lot more per lead than you would with another agency who's trying to just generate you leads, because we generate you leads that ultimately are the better quality leads, are more likely to buy, more likely to take action, and
And
we're very upfront about that.
I've noticed the best companies don't work with just anybody. I'm sure you don't. You probably vet your clients and make sure that you can actually help them.
100%. One of the things that we do is we have them complete a short survey before they get on a call with us, or we just ask them on the call a series of questions to see if they're a fit or not. One of the things that we do as well in that process is for our advertising aspect. So for Facebook advertising, for example, we recommend a minimum 3-month commitment, just because it typically takes at least 3 months to start seeing the results you're looking for. It's one of those where if you start in month 1 and then you stop, you're not going to get the results you want in month 2, month 3. So, and we've even turned away a few people that have they've just wanted to get results in month 1, and we just said we don't work that way, and we don't promise a quick buck. We just can't do that. Again, we want to get in those quality people, and that takes a bit of time to get the targeting right, get the message right. There may be some other tweaks further along the funnel that need to be made. So that allows for those adjustments. And
it's not to say you can't do that either, right? It's just like if you need that, you don't realize your budget can't make that happen in this time, in this moment.
100%. And yeah, but budget is a big part of it. Like we've worked with companies with bigger budgets, and they have got results in month 1 just because they've got the bigger budgets. They're just getting more traffic. So there's always exceptions to the rule. But for us, it's all about going back to the point earlier. We want to work with businesses we know we can get the result for quickest, and of course lasting results, because we want lasting clients and customers. One of our oldest client relationship is almost 7 years that we've had someone as a client of ours, and that's something that we want to continue. We don't want thousands and hundreds of clients, lots of clients. We'd rather have a small select number that we work with long term.
That's pretty cool. Wow. Yeah, I'm trying to think of how that can translate into other industries. I don't think that's thought about enough. But what are some simple marketing strategies that can have a big impact?
Yeah, really great question. So simple marketing strategies. The simplest I would say is email marketing, just because we all use email every day. And so email marketing is still a very powerful strategy, very simple, very, very cost effective for you to send thousands of emails a month. If you break it down per email, it costs like a fraction of a penny. So email marketing is really simple. You can get started with some systems for free, like MailChimp. I don't really recommend MailChimp, but you can get started with systems like that for free. So it's very easy for someone to get up and running with email marketing. And even if it's just to email your current customers or potential customers and just remind them of what you do. And what a lot of people do with email marketing, they make the mistake of sending one email or a couple of emails, and then they give up. So you've got to be consistent with it. Another really simple strategy is social media, and that can interlink with email marketing as well. So for example, you could write content inside of your marketing emails promoting what you do, your product or service. You can then take some of that content to Facebook, which is my favorite social media platform, and create some authority there and get some exposure there as well.
I absolutely agree that Facebook is very underrated. You still think it's golden age for ads and things like that?
Definitely, we definitely have found that if you compare it to things like in the lockdown. So during lockdown, the cost per lead or cost of advertising in general dropped by like 20-25%, and
Wow.
that obviously was quite a long time ago now. But Facebook ads is definitely, like, I'd say, oversubscribed. It's very popular, and some industries are very expensive per lead. It can be expensive to get results, and of course it does work, but is very popular. It's very easy to get started with Facebook advertising, so it's very competitive. And it's still got massive potential. I have clients getting results with it, but it's something to bear in mind and consider and have those expectations when using Facebook marketing.
Yeah, Facebook is like my pride and joy because I used to take a lot of pride in getting sales for concert tickets down to 5 to 25 cents per sale or click. And I was like, oh my gosh, like for managing tours and stuff at the time, it was just those were the golden days for me. But what advice would you give to someone struggling to market their artistic work since we're on that topic?
Yeah, definitely. I think it's just having that unique angle. So, and that's a kind of very competitive industry as well. So what unique angle do you have that you can use to your advantage? And sometimes it might be hard to come at that unique angle, but video marketing is a great strategy you can use in that industry. So, think about if you look at some of the viral videos out there that are, related to artists like music artists, for example, what can you do that's going to be creative, that's going to catch people's attention? And then another part of that is there's this one music artist that I like called Oliver Heldens, and he started from basically nothing, but he sent his demos to like people like Instagram, big DJs, and some DJs not quite as big as well, but he was networking through social media and Instagram specifically. And yeah, eventually he got signed to a label, and he had that snowball effect, and he saw some success. So sometimes you do have to be very what's the word, like aggressive with your message or marketing to some extent. You're still going to be authentic and be you and not overdo it, but you do have to not be afraid to get your message out there. Again, what's unique about what you do, your sound, things like that. Maybe it's something that you wear. What can you do to stand out in such a busy industry?
Yeah, that's interesting to think about. What about how can free work? Oh, wait, you know what? We kind of talked about that free work and volunteering, but do you have any other thoughts on just to elaborate on that aspect?
Yeah, sure. So, other things that I've, done in the past in terms of some free work is, looking at doing maybe a trade of services with someone that you're potentially working with. So, maybe it's you're doing some marketing work for them and then they're doing something for you. So that's a great way of, doing a barter and exchange of services. So, I mean, the thing I say working for free is you do want to step away from that. But I think there's some value in having a bit of an exchange that's not related to money, like, trade of services is one way. And, but eventually you do want to.
Here's an example.
Yeah.
Here's an example. Like, no, finish.
Yeah, I was just going to say you want to step away from that and then slowly start to, charge and increase your value by increasing your price.
I think I was just going to say the idea of. I just lost my thought. Oh man, I'm gonna have to cut that out.
Yeah, about
making a note.
Like your example.
No, just lost it. It'll come back to me. That's funny.
No worries, it happens.
It's cool. Made a note. Okay, what are the pitfalls to avoid in digital marketing, specifically digital marketing?
Yeah, great. So I think the pitfalls are or the mistakes I see people make is making your message too complicated and making it too wordy. So, you need to be able to articulate what you do in a very simple sentence. So mine is, for example, I show service-based business owners how to buy back their time with Facebook advertising and automation. So it's a fairly simple, concise message. And it might not mean something to everyone, but it means something to the person that I want it to mean something to, if that makes sense. So, again, just being very clear, very, very clean with your messaging and almost like an elevator pitch. So think about if you're stuck in an elevator with someone, if you've not heard of that expression,
mm-hmm.
Can you simplify your message?
Yeah, no, I've heard that. That is a good way to put it. Do you have any controversial opinions about marketing?
Yeah, definitely. I do think marketers ruin everything, and I think some people will agree with me on that. And I think that some marketing changes, such as, I mean, there's so many changes that really hurt marketers, which obviously affects what I do, makes what I do more difficult. But there's a lot of them that I agree with. Some of them are, for example, what Apple has been doing with email marketing. They are protecting the user in terms of not sending data back to the advertiser to show if they've clicked emails and that kind of thing. So I think there's definitely some things that these companies are doing to protect our data. And we've all heard about what happened with Facebook and Cambridge Analytica.
Yeah.
And the massive scandal there. And I do think a lot of these companies have to do better, and I do think they have to shut down on bad marketing. And again, I know it makes my job more difficult and creates work for me, but I do think these things help to create better marketers and push away the ones that are really not doing the best that they can do, or just not marketing very efficiently.
Yeah, a good way to weed them out in a sense. And I do think there's something to say for people who can market better for others and they can actually grow their own brand, because I feel like that's the case for me. I can externally see what other people can do better, and then a lot of times I neglect my own things. Like, I'm well aware I need to work on SEO, like basic stuff, just super basic stuff.
Yeah, it's something we all face, even in my own business. Even though I am a digital marketer, things like SEO I don't do much of. There's other aspects as well. So such as doing webinars or live events, that sort of thing. I am kind of doing those sporadically, but one thing that's helped with that is building a team where the team can actually go and do a lot of these things that I've been putting off. So if there is like a blog post I want to write and create and then email out to my list, things like that, the outsourcing that can really help you to become unstuck. And we all have things that we put off, especially in marketing, because there's only so many hours in the day and there's so many marketing strategies, and obviously you can't do them all, nor should you. But that's one thing that's really helped me recently to become unstuck, is just finding really good people who can take over those things that I never get around to doing, or for me, I don't like doing as well. That sometimes is why I don't get around to, like, there's some marketing strategies I don't like doing because they just take forever. Like, YouTube's really good, but it just takes so much time. That's one good example of, what can you potentially outsource? Can you team up with someone who's really skilled in that area? Again, can you, trade services? What can you do to have someone else help you to get those things up and running?
Yeah, you just reminded me of my thought earlier. This is what I was going to say. It was about, in the idea of free work context, I was like, it might not be any different than you analyzing somebody's, social media or website and being like, here's what I can do for you. That's already free work in itself, right? To know and analyze and to be like, here's what you could turn into and all the differences I could make.
100%. It's a really good point. It was something that I have kind of been trialing, and it's something I did do when I first started my marketing agency. But doing marketing audits, so looking at a marketing piece of a potential client, and maybe it's like a website or a landing page or a Facebook advert of theirs, and just giving some feedback and some suggestions and some ideas, and that's not coming from a place of wanting to sell them, but even though that does kind of put you in that position to do so, if there's some improvements needed, but it's just giving a bit of value. And again, it's not going for the hard sell. It's look, here's some really great suggestions, whether you work with me or not. Here's something you need to have done. It makes sense to work with me if you think there's a values fit. But ultimately, there are these things you need doing on your website or whatever the case may be. So it's just always.
How much of it is really just about their perspective? Like, how often do people just need to see something completely differently and it's a sell? Does it take a lot more than that?
Yeah, it's a good question. Sometimes it's a case of looking at things like the data is always the best thing. Like, there'll always be some clients I work with where it's taken a bit of time to come around to certain aspects, certain ways of my thinking. For example, like little things like a certain type of image on a Facebook ad, they might not be so sure of, but I always look to put whatever it is to the test and look at the data. Like, let's say if it's a landing page change, then I will do a split test of my suggestion versus theirs, and there's no rah-rah, there's no kind of competition. It's just what works. Again, in those situations, it's just looking at the data. The data, doesn't lie, and that gives you a good indication of what really works if there's ever any uncertainty.
Love it, because you just reconfirmed I like providing research for companies or people who can use it. So yeah, that's a good one. That data, right? What are some ways to engage an audience that seems unresponsive?
Yeah, that's a really good question, and this goes back to the email marketing aspect. Is a lot of people, again, they start well with things like email marketing. That's one example, and then they drop off. How do you re-engage those people? Well, it depends how long you've left them unengaged. If you've left them unengaged for a long time, the chances of reviving them are slim, but it's still possible. So what can you do? Well, you could just remind them of who you are, why they are in your community, whether it's an email list or a Facebook group, whatever it is. So just reminding them of why they're there, maybe providing a bit of value. Can you give some kind of free resource or something to really hook them back in and just say, look, you could say along the lines of, hey, sorry, I've not been in touch. I've been really busy, but wanted to reach out, see how you're doing. I have something really cool I've just put together that you might like. And it's, 5 ways to advertise on Facebook or something like that, as an example. So it's just giving some value, and then just, maybe getting them on the phone and just having a conversation with them. You don't always have to push them to buy a product or push them to a sales page. You could even just get them to reply to the email with their number, and then you could just speak to them. So there's a lot of ways of doing it. I think going in with the approach of nurturing a list that's unengaged, again, not trying to go for the hard sale, but just really remind them why you're there and how you think you can help them.
What about your philosophy on pricing strategies in marketing?
Yeah, so in terms of pricing strategies, again, it's got to be a little bit data driven, but I do think pricing definitely has an impact, and it's different for every industry. But in terms of pricing strategy, again, the best thing is to look at the data. One thing that's worked really well for me is looking at doing a bit of research, like you said earlier. That research is really important. But what I've started to do is just slowly increase my prices and get some market feedback based on those increases. So if I've started to increase my prices and I've not noticed any objections, then I know that my price might be a little bit too low. But if I start to increase my price and I'm getting a lot of objections, even then, it could be you need to do, like, if you're selling a high ticket product, can you do it in installments? Can you do payment plans, things like that? And it's just working out different ways of working in the pricing strategy. But again, it's seeing what's going on, seeing how easy it is to sell your product, and relying on that market feedback of if people are saying it's too expensive, if people are saying that it could be another issue, but if you're coming up against price resistance quite a lot, the actual price is something you could look at. Again, offering a payment plan and things like that are ways to get around it.
One of the ways that I know that I can improve my own nonprofit work is I know I need to make some kind of digital PDF or something, but I don't know if you consider it a slick to where you're advertising your services. What would you consider that, and how important is that for outreach beyond just saying, hey, here's what we do? Like, should you be providing your pricing immediately with everything that you provide?
It's a really good question. I think there's a lot of people with different approaches to it. I would say, in terms of pricing, I'd probably get that in. It's not something I'd do at the end of a conversation. I would try and get it in a little bit earlier. I wouldn't get pricing in too early unless someone's specifically asking. But there's a few different ways to do it. I mean, one thing that's worked really well is just having a proposal that not just has the pricing on it, but actually has a summary of what you do. And you can do some really cool things with some PDFs, for example, where you can have PDFs with a video in it. So if you're sending someone a brochure and it's really a proposal, then at the start of that, you could have a bit about why should someone work with you? What are your values? Do you have some case studies, testimonials? And again, you can embed videos and of course images into those as well. So I think it's with things like that as well, yes, it's important to have clear pricing and make it very easy for people to see what the value is and what your offer is. But I think, starting and ending that kind of offer or proposal with, what's the ultimate outcome here, and really focusing on that, what result is it going to generate for them? And that's way more important than the price.
Man, this is a little bit going backwards here, but I also am really into physical mail marketing, right? Do you have any advice on how I could translate that better into digital, like to keep that in terms of advertising and soliciting?
Yeah, it's a really good point. So yeah, I absolutely love physical mail as well. So, one example of that is I did a book launch around 3.5 years ago. And so that was a combination of physically sending people a book. So it's on Amazon, so people can order that physically.
Go ahead, tell them about it, the name of it.
Yeah, so the book's called Social Marketing Success. So you can get it on Amazon, I think in pretty much every country. So definitely go check it out. So that is my 4-step process of using social media to generate more leads, clients, and sales. And, as well as being able to physically order a copy, you can also get the ebook version. So you can get that like the Kindle version on Amazon, or I do have a funnel where you can actually download that completely for free as well. So, it's just combining those two. And, another thing that I'm going to start testing, just haven't got around to it, but when I'm sending out a proposal, is physically sending someone a proposal in the post as well. It's just doing the things that people are not really doing. Like, it doesn't take much effort to physically send someone something in the post like that, and it just makes such a difference.
I think so too. And it adds a personal touch, and even if it takes a while, yeah, you can also incorporate barcodes, or QR codes. You can get pretty creative as much as you want with that. You also said the word funnels, though. I think that's another underrated aspect of marketing that for some reason is like gate kept, probably because it's where all the money is in funnels.
100%. Yeah, it's something that I've spoken to a lot of business owners about before. Is having a website is great, and I think you should have a website, but they're not very conversion driven. So that's why funnels exist. If you want to generate more leads and ultimately more clients and sales or customers, then having a funnel versus a website where you're still sending traffic to a page, but the page has only one purpose, which is to generate leads or generate sales. So that's really important, I think, for a lot of business owners, especially if they're wanting to pay for traffic and they're getting a lot of traffic. If you're not getting much traffic, I don't think you really need a funnel, just because you've got a traffic problem rather than a problem with where you're sending them. You're just not getting enough people. So, funnels are important, and it's a term we hear all the time. But I always say to people, sometimes it is you need to have a way to generate traffic, and obviously you need other aspects more than that. But that's really key. Is just what I don't want people doing is just thinking they have to have a funnel and build this massive complex thing, and then they don't have a plan of how to actually send people there. So that's something I'm very conscious of.
And what's also interesting is it's not even worth having a product until you have the audience. And then once you have that, you still have to pay money to like list your product. So it's this whole process of you have to really have an incentive to sell something in a sense. So I get what you're saying, and also be continuing the momentum of it, right? Like posting and advertising and keep letting it be known about.
Yeah, it's 100%, and that's where things like email marketing come in and Facebook marketing come in, just because you've got a way to consistently get your message in front of people. And again, like, you don't always need a funnel on day one when you do that, but you do need to have a way of getting in front of those right people. And it's so key. And a lot of people get stuck on the technical aspect, and they think they need all these gadgets and this, that, and the other, and this website and that website. But they have to be generating traffic, but also generating the right traffic as well.
What's the best piece of advice you've ever received about marketing?
So I think the best piece I've ever received or best piece of advice is nobody who bought a drill actually wanted a drill. They wanted to drill a hole. So what you
Wow.
should do is sell advice on how to drill a hole rather than about the drill. People talk about
What does that
the
mean?
product.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah. So people talk about the product and the features and everything. It's all about wow and not how. Like, for example, as people are buying a laptop, what does the laptop ultimately allow you to do? It allows you to get online, allows you to watch videos, allows you to catch up with your emails, whatever the case may be. As a general thing, there's exceptions to this, but generally people don't want to know like the screen size and how
You're
you know
saying how things work. People aren't as interested in how things work because we're so on the consumption mind phase, though.
100%. Yeah, and of course, there's some very analytical people out there, and there's a personality thing where some people do buy based on facts, figures, and logic. That's a very small portion of the population. Like the majority of
I
people
didn't
will,
realize that. I
yeah,
did not realize that.
yeah, majority of people they buy emotionally and then they justify it with logic. So let's go back to the laptop example. I have to. So my laptop packs up and it totally goes wrong. Well, I have to buy another laptop tomorrow or get it fixed or whatever. I just have to do it. It's an urgent thing. But I know that there's a guy down the road who can fix it for a normal price. So you've got the emotional side of I need to get it sorted because I need to do my work and I don't want to be overwhelmed and behind. So that's the emotional side, and then logical side is well, I know someone who's quite reasonable who can do it quite quickly and get me back on the feet. So you can see how most of the decision is for a lot of people. For most of it, it's emotional. You do need the logic there to some extent, but it's how a lot of people make those buying decisions, and it's important to understand that.
You're kind of right, though, because I'm already thinking about what's on that hard drive.
Yeah, exactly. And there's things like there is go back to that example. When I was looking for a laptop, again it was an emotional thing. I wanted something like faster so I could do my work quicker and not be waiting on a dead screen all the time. But I
Yeah.
was looking at how light is the laptop and is it portable? Is there a warranty? So there's pros and cons for both for sure, but it's definitely heavier on the emotional side in most cases.
Which is what you're saying people don't do is look up the specs and care and delve into like how it works, the context of it. That's
Yeah,
interesting.
not as much. I mean, if you look at Macs, for example, Macs are 2 or even sometimes 3 times more expensive than a usual PC. And if you're looking at purely the logical side, you'll be looking at the fact that it's a lot higher price. So why are so many people buying Macs when they're just such a higher price than a normal PC? Well, there's people are buying into the brand, and Apple's they've got an amazing brands. They've got amazing support, and there's again some logical things there, but a lot of people buy Apple because other people are buying Apple. A lot of people are buying it because they want to look cool. So there's all these kind of emotional aspects that go into people why people make those decisions.
I've seen iPhones that were on Android operating systems that came from China because they want to look like they have an iPhone when they're using an Android.
Yeah, it's the thing. Everyone wants to be keeping up with the Joneses, and that's not always the case for everyone, but there are
Yeah. It's just
definitely
an example for sure.
yeah. It's the same thing with like designer clothing. You've got a $500 shirt
Yeah.
that costs $5 to make. People are wearing it because they've seen Kanye West wear it or something like that, right? As an example. So there's always that side to it that people want to feel that same way and really feel that.
And we'd argue Kanye is the controversial end of marketing, huh?
Yeah, exactly.
Shock and
He's
awe.
yeah, he's not someone that I kind of religiously follow or like I'm a massive fan of necessarily, but he's shock and awe is definitely the exact phrase. Like
See,
he
I
knows how
like
to
his
sell that.
music, but I'm onto the antics too.
Yeah, exactly. So it's just about sometimes it's about being controversial. If you're not controversial enough, then you're perhaps not standing out enough, and you're not being unique enough.
I think that's a really important note for the listeners on this. Really, really. But coming down to the last few questions here, what does it mean to you to be more than rich? That's the theme of the show.
Yeah, sure. So for me, it's important because it allows me to, kind of make the decision I want in life without being weighed down by money. It's a tool. It's not good or bad. It's just a tool that you can use to get to where you need to be. And I don't think it's good or evil necessarily, but it is something that you need nowadays to have a better life. So it makes sense to have more of it, but earning it in a way that doesn't cost you your time, and you're not kind of trading time for it in all aspects. So it's important to me. It's not the only thing that's important to me in life, but allows me and my family to have that security and that not worrying. It's just nice to not worry about stuff. If you've got a bit of a financial buffer and you've kind of start to accrue some wealth investments, it's just that security is so important. We're in tough times of the economy now, so it's just having that a buffer and emergency fund is like a lot of people don't have that. So being able to do that and have that is, I think, so it's a very attainable goal, because you never know what can happen.
Is there anything you want to tie in maybe to your book for creatives that may be struggling, or any advice for them?
Yeah, sure. So in terms of my book, I would say definitely go grab a copy on Amazon. You can get it on Kindle, I think, for like a couple of dollars, something like that. But and another resource that I can give away is, and I've put something together that's really cool, is some of my best converting funnels and best converting emails. So these are really great resources for free that you can check out and get an idea of. We've spoken a lot today about email marketing funnels, and I have some actual examples you guys can look at and take and use in your own business. So to access those, if you go to my website, marketwithseb.com, so marketwithseb.com, that'll give you a really good idea of, today we've spoken about strategy, but that will show you some real actual examples of how it all works. What funnels look good, what emails look good, because a lot of people always have questions about the specifics. So I've actually broken those down, and you can access those immediately as well.
We'll throw that in the description below. Last question is, do you have any marketing inspirations? Anybody you look up to, books you recommend, anything?
Yeah, of course. Dan Kennedy is someone I follow a lot of. He's very big on direct sales, and also there's Daniel Priestley as well. So he's very much a internet marketer. He founded a company called ScoreApp. So ScoreApp's like a landing page software, but you can capture, as well as content information, some questions about people. So it's very much like a survey type funnel. So what it effectively allows you to do, and I'm not affiliate for anything like that, but it allows you to generate leads and generate better quality leads. So we have more data about them. But Daniel Priestley is someone I've followed for quite a while, and his philosophy on marketing really, really works. One of the things that he shared recently is the power of starting a priority list. So let's say you're wanting to launch a new business idea, a new product or service. Maybe it's a whole new business, or maybe it's a new thing for your existing clients. It's just the idea of having a waiting list or priority list. This is what Tesla did before they released their cyber trucks and things like that. Is they built a priority list, and they created some interest and some buzz around what they were offering. And so he has some really good, powerful concepts like that. A few books that I recommend, so look them up. And
When you say priority, you say priority as in before the product comes out, like in a beta phase? Is that what you're trying to get at?
Yeah, exactly.
Got
in
you.
a beta phase. So yeah, let's say you're looking to launch a product in the near future. And also it's a great way of doing market research as well, because you don't always have to go out and create the product. If you're just purely surveying people and just saying, hey, we're looking to create a product does XYZ, this sort of thing. Would this be of interest to you? So it allows you to generate interest. And if there isn't any interest on that idea, that you probably don't need to pursue it. You want to try something else.
Interesting. That explains a lot why we hear companies are testing things now, because that's the news that gets out first. They're doing something, and then they probably see the crowd sentiment on social media as well, gathering the comments and I would just imagine that they collect all data sources.
Yeah, 100%. And it goes back to, as well as capturing contact information, capturing more about, uh, you know, the more data you have, the easier it is for you to make those marketing decisions. So if you're capturing data about leads you're generating, and what age they are, what location they are, what are they interested in, what marital status they are, if that's kind of relevant to who you're looking to target. The more of this information you have, the easier it is for you to cater your message, and to target those correct people. So you're not doing a shotgun marketing. So it's really important.
Yeah, that's a big one too, right? If somebody has a kid, you don't want to be advertising something that doesn't need to be in front of them, vice versa. That's a big difference. Just one family member detail, you're in an entirely different category.
100%. Yeah, you don't want to be selling steak to vegetarians and things like that.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good point. All right, Seb, learned a lot today on marketing. Hopefully this will be out within the next month, and I will fill you in and let you know.
All right, fantastic. Sounds good. Thanks for having me on.
Appreciate you.